Now, sometimes those waiting periods, as you call them, or those rest periods in between two things can last quite a long while. And therefore you might get bored, or you might get restless, or you might start to worry that this new transition isn't going to arrive. The advice that we can give you at this point is to help you understand that you can do whatever you want with that energy. You can use it to propel you forward into a new hobby, to diving deeper into who you are as a soul. Welcome to the Akashic Recordings. My name is Annette DeLu. I'm an Akashic conduit, channel, and spiritual guidance coach. What you will be hearing today is a real session with one of my clients. All the names have been changed for privacy, and of course, with their permission, we are privileged to hear these beautiful stories to allow us a small glimpse into the Akashic Records. If you would like to book a session with me and be part of the podcast, please feel free to head to my website at infinitesoullove.com. When you book your session, just make sure to check the box that you would be interested in having your session utilized for the podcast. For those of you who really wanted to sign up for Soul Discovery Workshop online, I have great news for you. You can head to my website, and on the homepage, if you go to the little box that describes Soul Discovery Workshop, there is a button there that says sign up for the waitlist. I will be running another course later on this year. So if you want to be in the know, and you want to be one of the very first people to sign up for the next session of Soul Discovery Workshop online, feel free to head to my website at infinitesoullove.com. Go to that homepage, click sign up for the waitlist, send your email, phone number, as well as your first and last name, and I will make sure that you get that registration email as soon as the next course is ready to launch. In addition, you will get a little discount code for early bird sign up. So if you're interested, head over there now. Marissa and I had a session prior to the one that you are going to hear today. This is a continuation of connecting into her life purpose and soul purpose, given the fact that in our first session, the guides told us that it was not yet time for her to get that information. So we do find out what her soul purpose and life purpose is. In addition to connecting to 3 fathers that she has had in this lifetime. She's had a birth father, she's had a father that she grew up with, and now her stepfather, who has just crossed over. We also discuss a little bit about what it means to be in transition, what it means to go from one place to the next in terms of your energy, and what to do in those in-between spaces. And finally, towards the end of the session, I walk Marissa through a meditation to meet her spirit team. So what would you like to cover today?
There was a lot going on with him there and stuff. And near the end, he actually, I think pretty much right from once he went in, he was calling out to me most of the time, calling for me, not my mother. That was a strange thing. And then in the last 2 weeks, he was calling to my sister. And I truly believe that she was there, or that he was calling to me for some connection or something.
This was when your father was in hospice, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
We touched on it very little last time. So he was my mother's husband of 45 years. He was in my life since I was 5. I did have a father that my parents were divorced when I was 3. And he had passed away when I was 16. And then 3 years ago, I found out that I have a biological father. And I'm very confused about who's the soul connection. If there's a soul connection, is there a contract? Isn't there a contract? Who's my actual, quote, father? Or, you know what I'm saying? Of those 3. And my brother, I would like to know what the connection is there.
Okay.
Like where it lies, because that's a relationship that's It's hard to explain. My three fathers, my brother, more importantly, I think that because he's still here. And now the family is down to just me and my mom and my brother. Like we've gone 6 to 3 in 14 months.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I think really I'm more concerned about my stepfather, the one that just passed.
Mm-hmm.
So that I want to see where that's going.
Okay, so you want to check in on him and see where he is.
Check in on him. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, he was never really my favorite person, but that that relates to my relationship with my mother and childhood things. Like near the end, we were closer than we had ever been, I guess, type thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well, a lot of times as people are nearing the time where they leave this human body and cross over, a lot of times you will find people will find religion. They will be really compassionate. They'll make some sort of shifts and changes in their 3-dimensional life. And oftentimes that is due to the fact that what I've seen is that we spend more time on the other side the closer we get to crossing over. So in other words, in his dream state, he's spending more time on the other side. In his waking state, it's like his soul is preparing him for the transition. When you spend more time on the other side with your soul, you will inherently gain a sort of brief, larger perspective. Okay. He may not have been conscious of it, but he was tapping into more of his soul's essence and his soul's energy sort of towards the end there. And I can definitely feel that within the space, I would say 2 months before he passed.
Yes.
That gives us a little bit more of an option or an opportunity for connection with our loved ones, for closure or for forgiveness or any of those things. It's not necessarily the reason why it happens, but it is a nice byproduct of it.
Yeah.
We'll open the records and we'll see where your 3 dads have sort of come in, what the reason for that connection was. We'll take a look at your brother. Was there anything else that you wanted to cover today?
Yeah, I want to see if possibly I could find out who my guides are or
oh, sure.
Speak to my guides, connect to my guides possibly, because that's a little bit up there for me. I'm meditating more and doing those things more to try and make the connection and stuff like that. But yeah, things had to be put aside because I had to take care of my mom, that's just a natural thing.
Yeah.
That possibly if we could maybe check out a couple more past lives if possible, or soul purpose, origin.
Have we done your soul purpose and your soul origin yet?
No, we weren't allowed. They would not share the origin yet last time.
Okay.
Yeah, you had said, can we see origin? They were like, no, not yet. I was like, oh, that's okay. We're not there yet.
Fantastic.
Yeah, origin. And we kind of touched on purpose a little bit, but we're not really there. And that, like, I'm feeling it and I'm starting to, but just like solidify, like just to know.
Yeah. We can definitely ask to see if it's time. It is very much about the timing of how things unfold for our lives as to when we can sort of receive the information. So yeah, definitely we'll dive into that.
Okay.
See if they feel it's time.
Okay. So we had talked very briefly about the situation with my children and my ex-husband, and it was interesting how that kind of played out. They are back in my life.
Wonderful.
Since then, which is like incredible. She just reached out because she felt like it, which was great. And then my son came to the memorial and everything's been great since. You had said things that they have contracts with both me and their father. And right now they're learning what they can. And just in how things have turned out, they're coming back to me. And I think they're learning. Their lessons are being learned and they're seeing what their father is. I'm in a position where they're expressing things to me that are not good, but there's really nothing I can do about it except be there for them, because he is a power to be reckoned with. And I've been guided by everyone around, just be there for them, listen, and like I can't really do anything yet because they're only 16 and 18.
Yeah. That turned around quite quickly, though.
It did. Like you had said, I see 22 for the older one. And I was like, okay, so, he's going into college. He's 18. Okay, I got the next 4 years to get ready and this, that, and the other. But circumstance, I think.
Well, not only circumstance, but timelines and energy and healing. So the healing that you're doing had an effect on that, I'm sure. And then sometimes whatever timeline we were on at that time was, okay, he would come around when he was 22, but maybe he was able to learn whatever lesson he needed to learn more quickly, which is beautiful.
And I also kind of wonder sometimes, like, I don't think I am, and I guess that would probably confirm it. I'm not a twin flame with anybody, although I would love to be. And like, is there that soul out there that I've still yet to meet, or have I met them yet? That's my person. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I've been alone a very long time by choice, and not by choice, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm doing the healing work that I need to do for my traumas. And yeah, I'm just starting to come into the place where I'm open and I'm ready and I want to share and I want to be with somebody and, and I'm getting back out there again and stuff like that. Is my soulmate out there? Am I going to meet them soon? You know what I mean? I know there's many soulmates for us, and I do know certain friends of mine and stuff like that we're connected for life.
So one of the things that I would like to sort of clarify, and we can certainly dive in to see if you have a twin flame or if it's a soulmate or what's coming in or how many soulmates are coming in,
Yeah.
The thing about twin flames is that typically they come in to spark a spiritual awakening. And when that happens, it's tumultuous. It's not particularly fun to go through.
Right.
You have many dark nights of the soul, all of those kinds of things. Now, however, there are various waves of twin flames that are coming in now that, let's say they did their work ahead of time. They did their work before connecting. Okay. And then basically what they do is they kind of come in and they connect at the tail end of their healing journeys. And then they're able to come together and not have to go through a lot of that turmoil. So from that perspective, they may look like a soulmate. So the thing that I like to tell people is that, careful what you wish for with the twin flame thing, because it's not for the faint of heart at all.
Right.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of introspection. It's a lot of somebody showing you your deepest, darkest fears, secrets, flaws, everything that is within you that you need to integrate and accept about yourself.
Okay.
So that's what a twin flame is, just from that perspective, just so you know. If we go into the records and they say you don't have a twin flame, I don't want you to be disappointed about that.
Oh, yeah, no.
Because it's not something that is sort of the be all end all, great, passionate love of your life. That's not what the purpose of that is. The purpose of a twin flame is for spiritual awakening and for rapid spiritual growth. The romantic connection at the end is just sort of that icing on the cake sort of thing. So at this point, soulmates are wonderful. They're supportive. They're there for you. Sometimes you'll have a soul contract with a soulmate to be in a particular incarnation. The other aspect of this also is that oftentimes when we are going through our spiritual awakening, which you have been for quite some time, we will be alone for a while. And that is because your energy is rapidly changing so much. And so like you're going leaps and bounds that basically anyone that you connect with, let's say if you met somebody tomorrow and you just level up over the course of, let's say a month or two, then all of a sudden that person wouldn't resonate with you anymore because you've now grown, exponentially over 2 months. So it would be like a series of people that you would connect with for a short period of time, which would end up being a distraction on your spiritual journey. So that's a lot of times that's why people end up being single during their spiritual journeys, because it's really hard to find somebody who's an energetic match and who is going to be growing with you at the same rate.
That makes so much sense. It really does.
Okay, so let's dive in and we'll see what we see. I want to thank Akula, my Akashic guide, for being here. Hi, thank you. Thank you for being here. And thank you to Archangel Metatron and Archangel Sandalphon for being here as well, for giving us the information that we need to know today. Thank you. So today we are opening up the Akashic records. Thank you. They do want to go into soul's purpose and soul's origin.
Okay. Yay.
You're like, yay, I'm ready.
No, I'm so ready.
Okay. So how many lifetimes do we need to look at for this? Just one. Okay. And soul's origin? You'll get the soul's origin from the lifetime that you're going to access. Okay. Okay, so the first thing that I'm seeing is a butterfly. And oftentimes they'll give us symbols to show us what we need in any given moment. And I'm hearing the words transformation. Okay. So where you are in this particular lifetime is you're in a transition phase. There's not anything in particular that we need to show you about this lifetime, except for the fact that you were somebody who was in a place of not only transition, but cultivation of new energy. Your soul is very adept at shifting and changing energy and moving energy through certain periods of time. There are certain periods of time on this planet that have been important for you. It's not often that souls are tied to time in any way, but the timing of things for you make all the difference in the world. The time of transformation is always about the energies aligning in exactly the right way. Just like a butterfly comes out of its chrysalis at exactly the right time, you do the exact same thing when it comes to the work that you do energetically. In this previous lifetime we're looking at this moment, you are in a place of waiting and waiting and waiting. And that time can be frustrating sometimes for you as a soul. You know that there's something you need to do. There's something that you are meant to do, and yet you wait and things just don't happen for you. In this lifetime, you were sitting at a table with your head in your hands, wondering how long it's going to take for your husband to come home. He's been gone for a long, long while. You don't understand why he needed to go, but you know in your heart when he's going to return. Even though you deny it, you deny that intuition. You know exactly when things are going to happen because you have a unique ability to peg when things are going to happen simply due to a soul contract or due to a life's lesson that is supposed to happen or transform. You know exactly the right time because you feel it energetically. And when it's not the right time, you are impatient, waiting for that right time to get there. Your soul's purpose, for the most part, and we say for the most part because it has changed over the course of lifetimes and shifted ever so slightly. But the main theme of your soul's purpose is knowing when to act on a particular time frame for transformation and when to prepare. You help people to know this. You help people to see this. When you're in the preparation phase, to not be complacent, to either enjoy where you are or learn the lessons as you need to learn them. And when the timing and the energy line up exactly right, you know that is the time for transformation and it must be facilitated. And your soul ushers that transformation into existence. It helps that transformation happen. And whether you're doing this for yourself or for other people or energetically for the earth, it doesn't matter. It's all the same process. And you are able to do all three. The transition in this particular lifetime that we're showing you, and the reason why we're showing it to you in this lifetime, is because it is a simple one. And we want to show you that just because it is a simple transition doesn't mean that it can't be impactful. This transition where you were waiting for your husband, you knew when he came home that something would change. He had changed. He had changed for the better. You were able to then start a family. You were able to then move forward with the rest of your lives. That transition energy might have seemed very mundane to you at the time. Just the notion of having a husband coming home from a war and being able to start a family finally and start your lives. It's something that often people wait for their entire lives. But that transition between the waiting and the creation was exactly where you needed to focus your energy as opposed to focusing on the waiting. Because whether your husband had been there in that lifetime or not, you would have still waited because the timing wasn't right. The energies have not lined up at that point. From that perspective, the children that would have been your children in that lifetime, the souls themselves had still to create some soul contracts. Things needed to line up in the universe in order for this all to happen. From one perspective, it all happens simultaneously and there is no time. That is correct. But from another perspective, things are always being shifted and changed and more aligned for a better outcome. Okay, I see now why it wasn't the right time before for you to know this. Do you see it as well?
Kind of.
Okay. I feel like had you known this information prior to your stepfather's passing, you would have tried to see what that transition was and tried to really focus on the transition itself.
Mm-hmm.
And you would have been too much in that space versus just experiencing where you were. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Because I knew it was coming. They were all planning for the long haul for him to be in this place for years. And I just kept going, no, I didn't say it to them, but I knew.
Yeah.
So
how does that resonate for you in terms of the soul purpose that they're sharing with you?
Yeah, it really resonates because the knowing, I staying with my sister for many years in my head, 55 to 57, it's going to be around that time with her. I knew when she was 57. She had just turned 57. And yeah, with him, I was going to say there's a lot of things that I felt, if I think back, I knew were coming. Not just a sense. I knew things were coming.
So the one thing is that they want you to trust that.
Okay.
There's a reason why you are able to sense that, because not everybody is able to.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody is meant to sort of sense those things or know those things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because you are uniquely qualified as a soul to not only foster the exact right situations energetically for those things to usher in, but then to also help the energy move as the transition moves forward. When you were describing everything that was surrounding your stepfather's passing and your connection to your brother and your mom and everything that was happening, and the fact that he was calling out for your sister who had also passed, like I kept on seeing you sort of at the center of all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like there was an orchestration happening, an orchestration of energy. And this is not something you realize you're doing, and it's not something that is like a 3D action that needs to be taken.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these things are being done on the subtle levels of energy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask, so how can we support in this soul purpose, and what is it that she needs to do, if anything? She can support herself by doing a lot of the work up front when there is a transition. If she feels a transition coming and she can see the transformation happening and she sees it in her mind's eye, she needs to be able to prepare herself energetically for the work that is to be done. This means preparing her body by listening to her body and what her body needs, meaning vitamins, meaning nutrition, meaning rest. And we emphasize the rest because you need to rest in that space where you would be waiting, similar to where you were in that past life waiting for your husband. Instead of just waiting, that should be time that you don't necessarily have to think about what's going to happen with the transition, but you need to prepare your body, rest, and take the actions that you need to replenish your life force energy. Have fun. Don't be in just the waiting space. Be in a space of joy, of going after the things that really light you up inside. So whether they're hobbies or whether it's a job or whether it's just hanging out with a really good friend, those things are important during that time. Okay, so then what are the things that she needs to do in terms of how that translates to her life purpose? Her life purpose and her soul purpose are completely different, and they don't really necessarily tie to each other. And that is relatively normal in terms of how common that is for souls to have a different purpose than their actual life. And that is typically something that happens when most of a soul's purpose is done on the energetic levels. Okay. Do you have any questions about that?
I was just going to say, okay, so that was addressing the soul purpose, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Can we know what the life purpose is?
Sure. Do we want to go into soul's origin first? No, we're going to go into life purpose first. Okay.
Okay.
Do we need to look at any lifetimes, previous lifetimes, to get the life purpose? Yes. Okay. How many? We need to look at 2 to get the full context of what she's doing at the moment. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at the first one, please. Okay. The first thing I'm seeing is you're dancing. You're very, very joyful, and you're throwing flowers up in the air. You're twirling around. You have your arms in the air. You're skipping and you're dancing. You're incredibly joyous. You're grabbing the hand of somebody else and you're twirling around. This feels like a medieval lifetime. I'm seeing the type of dance like they would do back then, where you're like if you hold your hands up together, like above your head, and you're turning around each other.
Yeah.
The dance stops, and I see you have a bunch of apples in your dress and you're holding your dress up, like holding all the apples. And as the dance ends, you're sort of passing out the apples to everyone. You know, the dress is really beautiful, but like you have this quality about you where like you're not all frills. It's like you can stick your feet in the dirt and wear this beautiful dress and have a bunch of apples and leaves in your hair. And you don't care about the fancy things. You're very connected to the earth. You're incredibly joyous, incredibly happy. You're very well loved. This party is actually for you. It's a birthday party. It's really interesting because I'm seeing flashes. It's weird. Okay, so I'm seeing flashes of parents, but like I'm seeing two parents who are actually very wealthy, and I'm seeing two parents that are not. Angels, can you clarify what that is? Why am I seeing the flashes of the two different parents? She is in between lifetimes of the parents. What does that mean? Don't overthink it. She is in between lifetimes of the parents. The parents that you are seeing that are wealthy, they have passed on. The parents that will be her parents have not yet come. So in other words, in this lifetime, her parents have crossed over. Yes, both of them have. She is being taken care of by an aunt. She will eventually have new parents. Oh, I see. The aunt cannot take care of you, or she won't. It's not that she doesn't love you, but she just doesn't want to be bothered by children. You're not super young. I'm seeing that you're about like 15 or 16, but she doesn't want to be bothered. She's sending you to a place where there's a couple who really wanted a child. They're poor, but they were friends of the family. And so she would be happy to give them money to be able to help raise you or finish raising you. They're a couple that knows you well. They were in the house while you were growing up. I want to say that they were either like nannies, servants, something to that effect. So it's interesting. There seems to be a discrepancy here because she seems incredibly, incredibly happy, and yet her parents have died. So how long has passed in between that time? There has been a significant amount of time. It's been 2 years since her parents died. So she has gone through most of the grief that she had. Okay. Oh, so she had been living with her aunt for that long and her aunt didn't want to raise her anymore. Correct. Okay, so then what else do we need to see? This is just the beginning. We're showing you this scene because of context. You need to know where she came from first before we move forward. Okay, so let's fast forward then and see what we need to see next. I'm seeing that energetically you are much sort of bigger than the parents that you have that have adopted you. Like I'm seeing your energy just like fill the house. And they're very small in comparison energetically. So it's almost as if you sort of overtook them on an energetic basis. They loved you a lot. They loved you immensely, and you loved them. It was just almost not necessary for them to raise you because you were at a point where you could pretty much take care of yourself. So you ended up taking care of them as they were a bit older. I'm hearing that your adopted mother was a bit more feeble. She couldn't do a lot of things on her own. So you ended up helping her. They wanted to do the traditional things for you that parents would do. They wanted to help you to get married, give you away to a family that would be worthy of you. They felt very unworthy of you. They felt unworthy of the money that was given to them to raise you because they felt like they weren't doing a lot. They felt like you were doing most of the work and that you were helping them more than they were helping you. You didn't care though. You didn't care about the money. You just were grateful for the companionship as well as people who were wanting to be around you as opposed to your aunt who didn't really care much. And they wanted to do all of these traditional things for you. And I keep on hearing you say, no, don't worry about it. You don't need to marry me off. You don't need to find me a suitable husband. Like, I'm going to be just fine. Like, don't worry about me. Okay, so they're asking me to fast forward in the lifetime. This is several years later. You are already married. The woman who had adopted you, she has already crossed over. She's passed on. The man who adopted you is still alive. You still connect with him on a regular basis. Your husband is a bit showy, I should say. He's definitely in a family that is wealthy. And he has a bit of a feeling of like, a little bit like Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. Like he's got this kind of feeling of like, he's kind of full of himself. He's kind of not really paying attention to you. So he has you on his arm. And he's looking at the crowds. He's looking at other people and waving at them and not paying attention to you at all. You're not particularly happy in this union. But I'm hearing you say he leaves me alone for the most part. So that's really great. So you can do the things that you want to do. I see you going for walks with your adopted father. And you have these beautiful conversations about the world and about the universe, about the stars. And I'm hearing you say to him, don't worry about me and my husband. You always knew I could take care of myself. You know you can cross over knowing that I'm taken care of and that you don't have to worry. You knew this was going to be the last time you saw him. This is where those soul gifts come in for you. You knew this would be the last conversation you would have. By the time you found out that he was dead, that he had passed on, you already knew it. You felt it in your body. You knew when he crossed over. He was sort of the closest person to you at that time. I'm seeing you prepare something for him, something with ribbons that are on top of like a book of some sort. They're pink ribbons. You're weaving the ribbons in and out of the cover of the book. I'm hearing you say this is what he wanted. I'm carrying out his last wishes. What's in the book is not important. It's the fact that you were preparing for this for him. You're very much at peace. I feel a lot of serenity. There's not a lot of grief because you know that you're still connected to him. So overall in that lifetime, I was feeling like you're very, very grounded to the earth. The whole lifetime just felt very grounded. And it felt like you were very much connected to your intuition. You weren't too concerned about the future or the past, but you were very connected to what was coming in. And the key thing here is that you didn't let those transition moments that you kind of saw coming, you didn't let them upset you. You were still incredibly happy in this lifetime, despite having a husband that you weren't particularly fond of, as well as despite the hardships that you went through with your parents dying and everything else. You were still able to really anchor in your own feelings of stability and your own feelings of self-worth and love within your own heart. This is part of your gift in this lifetime. This is part of what you are meant to do. It's to help people and show people by example how to anchor in their own divine love in their hearts while going through difficult times, while going through transitions, going through transformations, because even a positive transformation can be challenging. It is your job to help people, show people how to move through those transitions and transformations with grace, and that it doesn't have to be a devastating event. It doesn't have to be grief-filled for years. You can move through the grief, of course, feel the grief, but it can pass. And what you're left with is not only the memories of the person or the life or the situation that you're leaving behind, but you take with you the experience and that divine love in your heart for the experience that you had. Do you have any questions about that before we go into the second lifetime?
No question. It just resonates. It really resonates.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it feels a lot like this lifetime, to be honest. Yeah.
Oftentimes we end up echoing some of the things that we've done in past lives, obviously, because our life purpose is not always our soul purpose, as they were saying, but it is intrinsically linked from the standpoint of we are going to tap into some of our natural gifts, right? And the way that we use our natural gifts in the 3 dimensions can sometimes look the same from lifetime to lifetime.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So let's take a look at the next lifetime. This is a much more modern lifetime, actually. I'm seeing that it's only a couple lifetimes ago. And actually, how I know that is because you're wearing pants. As a woman, you're wearing pants. So that usually indicates to me that it was not that long ago. I don't know why they're telling me, but the pants are yellow. And they kind of look like a skirt. They're sort of in for the fashion of where you are at the time. You're walking very quickly, trying to get to somewhere. I keep on hearing, I'm late. I got to get going. You're a teacher. I'm hearing school bells. I'm seeing you. Okay, so you arrive at your desk. You put your stuff down. Your glasses are askew. You're a little bit disheveled because you were rushing. And the first thing that you're thinking in your mind is like, oh God, why do I teach kids this young? You're not particularly thrilled to be where you are. These kids are, oh, okay. You're saying they're the bratty age is what you're saying.
Oh, interesting.
I'm getting about 7 or 8. That's the age of the kids that you're teaching. You're really sort of exhausted by teaching these kids. You're saying that it would have been easier to teach older kids, but you were kind of stuck with this particular classroom. I keep on hearing it's a waste of my time and energy. Oh, wow.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, because what you have to offer intellectually in this lifetime is sort of way beyond the scope of 7 and 8-year-olds.
Right.
So you find the material boring. They find it boring. You can't really connect with them at all. There's a part of you that just wants to just quit and leave, but then you do care about the children. You care about them as children, but you don't really care about teaching them because teaching them you feel is like a futile effort.
Right. Well, it's funny because that age I wouldn't want to teach. Like now, that age, or like grade 8. So like 14-year-olds. Oh, hell no.
Oh, it's the worst.
I can do older and I can do like younger. Like I really, not growing up, I didn't like kids. I didn't connect with kids, even when I was a kid. That definitely, something was off. But yeah, now like 5 and under, I love other people's kids, babies. And yeah, like, I don't know, maybe just having my own and being through that. But yeah, those ages I can handle, but those, like 7 to 14, 15, no thanks.
Yep.
No thanks. You go do your thing and I'll meet you back when you're about 16.
When you're a full-fledged human. Thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
That was part of your frustration, is because you're able to connect to people on a human level when they are settled in who they are. And kids between those ages are not settled in who they are in any way.
Right.
So it's like transition after transition after transition. And I think that's what they're showing me, is that your talents lie in the subtleties of transition, not in the frequent and heavy transitions. So when you're between the ages of, let's say, 8 and 14, you might be going through a transition every day, with your hormones, with your body, with everything that kids go through during those ages. It's like, it's happening at such a rapid rate that it's like, for you, the energy of that is so frenetic and so just all over the place that you're like, absolutely not. Like, I can't do anything with that. Like, I have to wait until that energy settles and then I can do something with it.
Yeah. Now it's all coming together, because that's the question that I've been asking for a while now. Why am I always around when people lose someone close to them? Or why am I always, this is, same like when I lost my father. I was there in the hospital 2 days, like within 48 hours before he passed. And then, 20 some odd years later, almost the exact same thing with his younger brother, my uncle. 2 days before he passed in the hospital, I went to visit. And there was actually a lot of conflict around that, because my mom wanted me to take my sister, but I didn't want to take my sister, and I ended up going alone. And did I catch hell for that? And that was the whole thing. But he passed. And that was, being with other people when they, my friend's husband took his own life back in 2018. And she called me. We were supposed to be going up to the cottage, just the two of us together the next day. And just like all these things, it just, the trans being there to help people with the transition. Yeah. There it is.
It is.
Wow.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. What are you doing for a living at the moment?
Oh, right now I'm a photographer. That's been my thing. I'm currently taking a breathwork facilitator course, but I've been wondering if I'm supposed to go into some sort of grief counseling or death doula or...
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. That's exactly what they were telling me. So that's why I was wondering what you're doing now, because they're saying that you're ready.
Okay.
So going into that, like you've already known. So like actually everything that I just told you, you already knew, you felt that in your intuition already, but it's like sometimes you just need somebody to articulate it to you. And then you're like, oh yeah, that's what it is. Right. Okay. So now what does that look like? That certainly looks like you being able to help people through transitions.
Right.
And whatever that looks like. When you're a photographer, you actually help people through transitions as well. If you're doing photography for people, what do they want photography for? Well, new jobs, weddings, families, big milestone things. You are there for people.
Yeah.
So it makes total sense that that's what you have been doing over the course of your life so far. And I would say that, like, don't stop doing photography if it still brings you a lot of joy.
It does. It's just the kind of photography has before COVID, I was heavily into like events,
Yep.
and stuff like that. And it just, because of what I was going through with my family, with my ex-husband and stuff, it was traumatizing. I didn't even realize until after the fact. And I looked at COVID as such a blessing because it put an end to that.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
Because I was in a position where I had to work and I had to do it to make money. I was losing everything. And now I came to a point where I was like, I'm only going to do photography for people that I love. More recently was the other part, the feeling that I'm supposed to help people through their grief or their transitions.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think I'll ever give up photography. Like, I would never put it down. It's not like I feel like I don't fit into the photography industry as a traditional photographer, like wedding photographer, event photographer, and stuff like that. But I see myself more as a moment capturer.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
You know what I mean? Like capturing the moment for people.
One of the things they're showing me too is that the photography is going to be a nice contrast to the death doula, grief counseling, that type of work that you'll be doing, because that work is going to be, although fulfilling for you, it is going to be heavier, right? So if you're doing photography for spiritual retreats, or just taking jobs that you really, really enjoy doing, that's going to be that life force energy that you're replenishing. That's going to be your creative energy that you're replenishing. And so make sure that when you do take those jobs, when you get to that point, that you check in with your intuition on each job and just say, is this in my highest good to take this particular job? And your guides will tell you yes or no. Okay.
Yeah, I've always felt that. I've always felt that it was not my career thing. I always felt it was more my passion. So that's where it was. I was losing touch with my passion before COVID hit. And I'm just reconnecting with the passion again.
Yeah, beautiful.
Because it can't be my soul. It can't be. In my heart felt I need to be doing something and photography. Right? Not just the photography.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. My guides are funny. I was asking in my head, I was like, do we go to the three fathers now? They're like, nope, soulmate. And I'm like, yep.
Oh, okay.
That's the most important bit right now.
Oh, good. Okay.
Oftentimes during sessions, when I ask people for the list of questions that they have, oftentimes the very last question is actually the most important to them. Yeah. So, and that's kind of what I was feeling for you, is that even though, yes, all of these other questions are super important for you, the one thing that you really want to know the answer to is about the soulmate or about a potential twin flame, whatever that happens to be. So let's take a look real quick to see what's going on. They're saying no to a twin flame. Okay. They want me to sort of give you a scenario. And the reason why they want me to do this is because this is something that is very common with twin flames. So I experienced this personally when I was younger, where I felt this sort of longing for somebody, like this feeling that I was missing somebody, that somebody was supposed to be in my life. And I felt it literally my entire life. It was just this thing in the pit of my stomach that I just knew that there was somebody that was there and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Right.
So it's a knowing, not a desire.
Correct.
Okay.
So if you didn't feel that, then that's pretty much your confirmation that your soul is in its entirety within your body at the moment.
Right. Yeah. That's what I thought.
So the desire is something different. The desire is, of course, wanting that desire for, somebody to connect with, somebody that you can live out the rest of your life with, all of those things. That is simply the human desire versus the knowing. Okay. So then let's take a look at the soulmate. They're saying she doesn't need a soulmate. She's perfect the way she is. What she needs is someone to have fun with. That's what she needs. They're saying you don't need some serious soulmate that's just going to drag you down. You need, I joke, not that a soulmate would drag you down, but but like you need somebody who's just going to be fun.
Yeah.
And you guys are going to have a great time together and travel together. I'm hearing there's going to be a lot of travel. Yes. Yes, there is somebody coming in for you.
When? No.
Well, that's your joking. Gift, my dear.
Yeah,
you should know.
Exactly.
In my experience, the guides won't usually tell us the when on that because it can actually affect how it comes down if we know when.
Right. Yeah.
So the one thing I can say, though, is that when you meet this person, he's just going to come into your life and it's just going to be like, oh, hi, there you are.
Okay.
Cool. Let's go have fun.
Yep.
Like that's basically it. It's just going to be effortless.
Yep.
And it's just going to sort of fall into place.
Okay.
You're not going to have to do much at all.
Okay.
He's just going to be there.
Okay. Sounds great.
I am seeing it is possibly through the grief counseling, the death doula duties that you're going to be doing.
Okay. Interesting.
Either through the training or through the actual practice of it. I'm not sure, but one of the two. He's got a lot of hair.
Oh.
I don't know why they're showing that to me, but he's got a lot of hair.
Okay.
And it's very like salt and peppery. Yeah. He's very handsome.
Excellent.
And he's got a very strong feeling about him.
Okay.
Like meaning that he's like not like strong as in physicality, but like strong as in energy. He's got a very strong energy.
Okay, that's what I would need.
Definitely. Okay, so I think that's all they're going to give us.
Okay.
I think that's enough to go on at least.
Yeah. Oh, that's more than enough.
Then let's take a look at your 3 fathers. So your first father died, you said at 16?
When I was 16, yes.
And then your stepdad who just passed. And then you found out that you have a biological father.
Correct.
When did you find out about your biological father?
2020, 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting because it feels very much like this was exactly how it was meant to go.
Mm-hmm.
Can I connect into what the soul contracts are? The first soul contract she had was one of a placeholder, if you will. He was there to teach her certain lessons, and she was there to help him transition. They had never had any past lives before. This was their first experience together. And it was meant to be a situation where he was learning more from her than vice versa. She did not want to be incarnated into his ancestral line, which is why she chose a different father for her biological father. She did have an agreement of the soul contract that they would achieve. And one of the stipulations in the soul contract was she did not want to be tied to his ancestral line. His ancestral line was too heavy. It was too new, and it was not the right vibration for you to be able to do the work that you needed to do. For all intents and purposes, just a means to put you in a space where you could have the right ancestral line that would be supportive for you and your energy while still completing the soul contract. There is no need for you to have any sort of connection with your biological father.
Okay.
It is just whether or not you desire to. If you desire to have a connection with him, you can, but there is no further soul contract with him at all.
Can I ask about the ancestry?
Sure. What would you like to know?
Would I don't know, because part of me is wondering if the ancestry that I'm connected to. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
It is his ancestral line that you are connected to by blood.
Yeah.
And you had chosen that ancestral line specifically.
Is it because it's older? It's an older ancestral line. He's from Greece.
It's a much, much older ancestral line.
Yeah, well, I feel that. Okay.
It's supportive. I'm hearing that the ancestral line is supportive. I'm hearing shamanism. There's a lot of shamanism in the ancestral line.
Mm.
So that energy is supportive for you doing the helping of transitions. It's along the same lines. So that ancestral line is actually more supportive for you.
Okay.
In the energetic work that you're doing in this lifetime.
Right.
Whereas I'm seeing Marie's ancestral line is a bit more chaotic. And like I said, it was much newer.
Mm-hmm.
The only way that I can describe it is that it doesn't have as much depth. It doesn't have as much ancient energy infused into it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I feel that. Interesting.
Okay, so then your stepfather, you have a soul contract together. You've had a soul contract together, but the main soul contract that he had was actually with your mother. It wasn't with you.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So because of that connection, because your mother was soul contracted with him,
mm-hmm.
you did create a soul contract with him, but sort of after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
So you were like, okay, as you were in your sort of planning meeting before you all incarnated, your mom was like, okay, so I'm going to have another connection with somebody else after your father. And so when that happens, he's going to be helping me with X, Y, and Z. And so you said, okay, well, if that's the case, if this person is going to be in my life, then we might as well get something done while we can.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the soul contracts that you have with people, these sort of minor soul contracts, they're much more heavily weighted on the side of you helping them versus them helping you.
Yeah.
It's fine. That's sort of the nature of your energy, and you're fine with that. The challenge, though, is not giving too much of your life force energy away.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to really connect in and replenish your own life force energy so you're not too unbalanced. Because if you get into unbalanced energy, you get very resentful.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. It makes so much sense.
The biggest key to this is making sure that whatever you do in helping any of these transformations, these transitions with anyone, is checking in with yourself first. Asking yourself, do you have the energy for this? Can you honestly say within your heart that this is something that you really, truly want to do and that you are not doing out of obligation? Because the thing is that energy doesn't lie. Energy never lies. And if you're trying to do something out of obligation, the resentment will inevitably creep in. Always check in with yourself to see where you are. Is this something that I truly, truly want to do? If the answer is no, but you know you want to do it eventually, then that's where you need to ask yourself, okay, what do I need to do to prepare my body and my soul for wanting to do this?
Yeah. Yeah.
That hit right there, didn't it?
Sure did. Sure did.
You're going to start to notice now as you move forward in your life what things you're doing out of obligation and what things you are doing because you really want to help or because you really want to do them. And it's going to be really eye-opening for you to notice how your body reacts in those situations as well. So I want you to pay attention to what your body is telling you.
It's already started. Wow.
Okay. Is it in our highest good for to meet her guides today? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna do that as well. Okay, so we're just gonna dive back into our little meditation, and I'd like you to imagine that you are standing on a beach and you're walking along the water's edge, allowing the waves to sort of come up to your feet. You can feel the cool water on your feet. And I would like you to notice off in the distance, there's like an outcropping of rocks in front of you. And coming out from behind these rocks, you see some orbs of light. And I would like you to acknowledge how many orbs you see.
I see 3.
And as you get closer to those orbs and those orbs are moving closer to you, I would like you to identify which orb is the brightest at the moment.
The middle.
And I would like you to feel into the energy of that orb. What colors do you see? What energy does it feel like? Does it feel more masculine or more feminine or a combination of both?
It's not, there's no color. It's just white, bright white, and I'm feeling masculine energy.
Okay. Can you sense the quality of it? Does it feel warm and loving, or does it feel strong?
I think warm.
Okay.
Definitely warm.
So I'd like you to ask that orb to sort of get a little bit closer. And as it gets closer, you can ask it to take a form that's familiar to you, something you can identify.
Am I mentally asking or verbally asking?
Either one. It's up to you.
Either? Okay. I just saw a flash of a deer. I don't know if that...
You saw a flash of a deer?
A deer.
Okay. That's great.
Yeah.
So I want you to approach this deer. And I would like you to ask it if it has a name that it wants you to call it. And I want you to ask what its purpose in your life is.
So I just got baby, to call it baby.
Okay. What is the purpose for this guide?
Oh, yeah. Protection.
Okay. Can you ask if it's an angelic protection? What type of protection is it?
Verbal.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the word. That
verbal protection.
Verbal protection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that mean that the deer is offering verbal protection, meaning that this particular guide is helping to speak protection into existence around you? Is that what it is?
I'm not sure.
You can ask.
I'm having a hard time with this.
That's okay.
Receiving something about protecting my voice. Protecting my voice to protect.
Okay. So I'm going to tap into this guide and I'm going to ask if they can give a little bit more clarification. The reason why I am presenting myself as a deer at this moment is because I am here for protection, and that is something that she could easily recognize as something that is strong, that can protect her. By voice, I mean I'm protecting her energetic voice. The way that her energy moves through the universe is in waves because she's so connected to these transformational and energetically potent points. The words that she speaks, the way that she moves through the world needs to be protected on its way to where it's going. Overall, I protect her, but I, for the most part, will be protecting anything that she does to speak into existence, the words that need to be there, the energy that needs to be there for the transformation or the transition. So there is no interference. Words have frequency and energy just like everything else, and they can be distorted just like everything else. I make sure that the words that come out are not distorted and that they are pure until they reach their destination. That's really interesting. I've never heard of that before.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you.
Oh, and why do you want her to call you baby?
Yeah, that could have come from, see, that's where I doubt, right? That's where the 3D doubts. Was that a download, or was that just something from somewhere in my memory or something? Yeah, baby. I don't know.
Let me ask. He's laughing. He's like, you can call me baby. Sure. That doesn't bother me. It'll make you laugh every time you say it. So that'll be fine.
Yeah.
He's saying he doesn't really have a name.
Okay.
So it's fine for you to call him whatever you would like.
Yeah.
He said if you do call him baby, he would prefer it to be more of a, hey, baby, as opposed to like a baby, but
yeah. Well, that's
sort of more of a term of endearment versus,
yeah.
Yeah. That's really funny. Yeah. He's got a really great energy.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to ask him to sort of stand aside, and we're going to focus on one of the other two orbs you have going on. And I want you to identify which one is a little bit brighter at this moment.
The one on the left. And it's kind of a purpley, pinky, yellowy, not yellowy, white, purple, pinky, white, swirly colors.
Beautiful.
Feminine energy, definitely.
Okay.
Again, loving it.
Okay, so you can ask that orb to sort of take a form that is recognizable for you.
Oh, God. I just saw Mother Mary.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, I love it.
Like the typical, the palms down. It might even be Jesus. No, Mary. With the blue hooded gown with the white around it, draping, palms open, heart light. That, yeah. Probably a Renaissance painting I've seen somewhere or something. I did study, Renaissance art in university, but that was what presented the first image I saw.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you ask her if that's who she is?
Are you Mother Mary? I heard yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's...
I also heard a yes. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So oftentimes in our spirit team, we do have ascended masters, we have archangels, we have all kinds of higher level beings. And just because you're working with Mother Mary doesn't mean that she can't work with other people as well. Like she's, multidimensional.
Yeah.
So she can work with any number of people at any given time. And that's the beauty of being an ascended master is that ability. If you want to ask her what she's working on you with.
Oh, perseverance. That's the first word that popped in my head. Perseverance, love, gratitude, home, and that's it.
I also got compassion. She's saying you have it in spades. It's not that you need more compassion, but it's more that she's helping you to anchor that in for other people, because not everybody has compassion, especially when they're going through rough times in their life. And so she's helping you to understand how to help people have more compassion for others. So you can always ask her to be with you at any given moment when you need to work through any of those things. The home aspect of it, I actually am getting that this is about your next home. This is not about your current home.
Like my physical home? Like where I'm living?
Yes, whatever that would be.
Okay. I don't know where that will be.
She's going to guide you. That's why she's saying that. Yeah. Okay. So then I would like you to invite in that last orb.
It's dim. It's not bright. It's shade. It's not color.
Okay.
From the photographer.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not seeing any color.
Okay.
It's shade. It's almost like I don't want to say muddy, not muddy, more grayish gray shade. I have to ask present itself in a form. I just saw golden retriever.
Oh, I love that.
I love golden retrievers.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, right?
You're the first person I've had that has had two animals show up as their guides. That's amazing. I love that.
Just on a quick side note, the last few times that I've gone out and done ravine walks, almost every time, I'm surprised that this didn't present itself to me. I've seen a blue heron.
Oh.
At different places, different ravines around, almost every time I've gone out, I've seen a heron. And like one was, I could almost reach out and touch it.
Cool.
Yeah, it's interesting that a golden retriever popped out, but a heron didn't.
Well, you might be seeing a lot more golden retrievers in your future.
Oh, yeah. Well, I see them everywhere. I had one. And
Oh, that's great.
What do I call you? Fluffy? No, Fluffy? Fluffy couldn't be it. That's something that was planted in. Okay, I'm going to ask again. What can I call you? Sure. It's a male, golden retriever. Yeah. Okay. Banks. That was my golden retriever.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Could it be Banks?
Absolutely. Oftentimes we have spirit guides that come and incarnate as our pets, and they work with us in our energy and help to transmute energy in our spaces and help us through in a way that they can't if they're in spirit. So absolutely, that can be one of your spirit guides.
That makes sense. I got Banks for my ex-husband when we were together. When we first got together and we first were living together, I got him Banks. We were looking at puppies and we were at a breeder, and Banks came to the kitchen and I looked over and I was like, well, who's that? And he was like, oh, that's Banks. He was surrendered to us. The family divorced. They couldn't keep him. He was almost 4 years old. And I was like, well, could we have him? So I adopted him, quote, for my ex-husband, because he had a golden retriever in his previous life, I guess. And so he was there. He was there for it all. He was there for the house, the marriage, the babies, everything. And I had to put my cat down. And then 9 days later, Banks went. We had to let Banks go. He was 12 and a half. And pretty much that was around when everything fell apart. Yeah. That was the beginning of the end of my marriage that year. And it's like,
that was all in exactly the right timing. And you know that.
Yeah. See, and I thought Maggie was one of my spirit guides. I keep thinking Maggie, who was my little black cat who I had for 17 years. I got her when I first moved out from my mom. And then in 2017, I adopted Luna, who's another little black cat. But I know she can't be the same because she was born in 2009 and Maggie didn't go till 2010. So, unless there was some changeover. But no, it was Banks.
And it's not to say that, you couldn't have had other spirit guides in those cats, actually.
Yes.
It is possible. But it just so happens that these are the ones that are presenting to you now.
Yeah. Well, and I think Luna is one. This cat I have now. She is definitely. She saved me.
So I want you to ask Banks.
Yep.
I want you to ask him what he's here to help you with.
Guardian.
Okay.
Freedom. Transition. Connection. Focus.
Yeah. Can you ask him if he's going to incarnate into another pet for you at some point in this lifetime?
I just heard yes. Yes, just jumped as you were finishing saying that. It's almost like you were asking.
Can you ask him if it's going to be another dog, another golden retriever? Who is it going to be?
Can it be? Are you coming back, Banks? What are you coming back as? He just cat. He just said cat.
Oh, lovely.
So I heard cat. I don't know. Who knows? No. So he wouldn't be in Thor, would he?
Ask.
Because we do have another cat here that I just adopted. That the way he came about was very interesting. But
ask Banks. Yeah. Ask him.
He said no.
Okay.
Are you Thor? He said no. I heard no.
Okay.
Another cat.
Awesome. Ask if you're going to know the cat right away.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Those are 3 of your spirit team. Okay. So we don't always meet all of our spirit team all at once. They want to give us certain beings at certain times. For the time being, these are the guides that came up for you that they wanted you to be aware of. And I want you to feel free to use this sort of meditation or this method to go in and meet other guides as you move along on your journey. So if you feel like you want to meet somebody else, then go ahead and do this meditation and you can meet somebody else.
That'd be great.
All right.
All right.
Wonderful. I'm going to close the Akashic Records. Thank you so much to Akula, my Akashic guide. Thank you for being here. And thank you for all of your patience always and all of my questions. You're amazing. Thank you to Archangel Metatron and Archangel Sandalphon for being here. And I want to thank Mother Mary and all of her guides and all of my guides. Thank you. Thank you. The records are closed. Okay. How do you feel?
I feel very light.
Oh, good.
I feel very light right now. And I can say about a half an hour, I was feeling very heavy, warm and heavy. But yeah, now I feel very light.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And everything's kind of technicolor-y right now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I just looked around. I'm like, oh, woo, neat.
Look at all the colors.
Yeah, those are pretty colors.
I love it. I love that. I love that state. It's a great state to be in.
Yeah.
So enjoy it and make sure you're drinking a ton of water over the next 48 hours. Make sure you ground if you start getting a headache and keep me posted on how things are going, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. I would like to thank Marissa for her participation in the podcast by allowing me to record this session so we can benefit from all of this beautiful information. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to work sort of backwards from the reading that you just listened to. And the reason for this is I want to discuss animal symbolism as it pertains to Marissa's spirit guides. She mentions 3 animals in her vision. As we were going through the guided meditation, there was the deer that showed up as her spirit guide. There was the golden retriever, who was a previous incarnation of a dog that she had. And then she also mentioned seeing herons in the past. When animals show up in those particular spaces, whether it's a meditation, whether it is a meeting of your guides, does it really mean that her spirit guide is a deer? It could, but it also represents something very, very specific. Our guides show us the image that we need to see in order to understand. So for the deer represented for Marissa protection. It represented so many different things that she was able to connect with. I will encourage you, if you are in a meditation and you get some sort of animal that comes through, I recommend looking it up. You can either do a search on the internet for spiritual meanings of said animal, whatever animal it is. I also have a book called Animal Speak by Ted Andrews, and it is a good book for animal symbolism. Just to give you a quick glimpse at some of the things that you can find out through this book. When I looked up deer, there is the keynotes that he has in the book, which means gentleness, innocence, and gentle luring into a new adventure. So that says quite a bit about the nature of that animal. It means that maybe her spirit guide is helping her as she moves through these transitions with people, which was part of her soul purpose. So instead of having things be jarring or harsh, it's a gentle luring. So that's just a confirmation in what she was getting already through the meditation. And oftentimes that is the case when you read these definitions, if you will, or these excerpts of different books or articles about specific animals. You're going to find a lot of synchronicity in that. One of the other things it says here is that they have been able to adapt to every sort of habitat. So adaptability, that is another word that is used. There are many other ways that you can interpret what a deer is. But at the end, it says, when deer show up in your life, it is time to be gentle with yourself and with others. A new innocence and freshness is about to be awakened or born. There is going to be a gentle, enticing lure of new adventures. Ask yourself important questions. Are you trying to force things? Are you being too critical or uncaring of yourself? When a deer shows up, there is an opportunity to express gentle love that will open new doors to adventure for you. So you can see how tapping into different bits of information can really help enrich a reading or enrich information that you may get. So again, you can look up dogs. So she had the golden retriever. Now, granted, when she was connecting to that golden retriever, it was a previous pet that had crossed over. So I would be less likely to look up dogs or golden retriever in a spiritual sense, simply because it's more about that connection with that specific soul as opposed to the soul of dogs. Then she also mentioned a heron. And if I look heron up, it talks about a bird that is able to forge its own path, that is really not concerned about pleasing other people. They don't feel the pressure to keep up with society. They are not particularly traditional in their roles. They stand out. They do a lot of things on their own. So those characteristics are very, very specific about that particular bird. You can use this as well in a way that helps you identify what signs your angels or your guides might be giving you. So if you just keep on seeing hummingbirds everywhere, or if you keep on seeing frogs everywhere, then that could be a message for you from your guides. And it is absolutely going to be beneficial if you go and look up that particular animal so you can get a little bit more clarity on that message. So let's back up a little bit into the meditation where I was helping Marissa meet her spirit team. Is that her entire spirit team? No. Like I said, she can probably meet many of the other members of her spirit team by going through and doing that meditation again. And you can do the same. Most often when you're meeting your spirit team, the most prominent guides are going to show up for you, or the guides that are working with you the most closely at this time. When you are doing this meditation, and you can feel free to go through that session and do the meditation as I was doing it with Marissa, and see if you get anything. See if there's anything that you can pick up in terms of who your spirit team might be. There is benefit to doing this in a session like this. One of the benefits is if you are not particularly visual, or if you're not entirely tapped into your gifts just yet, then it can be helpful to have another person with you in that meditation to help fill in the blanks. It's always a good idea, especially if it stresses you out, or if you are really trying to get something and you're not really getting clear answers. It can help when you have another person, another perspective to be able to help guide you. Now, you might ask, why wouldn't you just tell the client exactly what you're seeing so they can know who their guides are, as opposed to guiding them through a meditation and helping them see themselves? The one thing that I've found is that it is incredibly beneficial for somebody to be able to experience their guide's energy themselves. I can tell them all I want, all of the things that I can about their spirit team, but they're not going to connect to it or believe it necessarily until they're going to be able to connect themselves. So even if they're not seeing a lot, just connecting to the energy, feeling the energy, knowing what the energy feels like in the presence of that particular guide can make all the difference in the world. And this is why most of the time, I'm not just going to give you the answer. I'm not going to just tell you the name of your spirit guide or your angels, your guides. I am going to guide you through a meditation very similar to what I did with Marissa to help you understand, feel, know, and experience what it feels like to connect to your spirit team. So one last thing I would like to mention about the session and the fact that Banks, her dog, was coming back as a cat to help her with this new phase of her life. And I found it very, very interesting that this particular soul would come back as a cat because of what she is moving into in terms of her spiritual work. So the more spiritual work you're doing with shadow or with helping others, cats can be very, very helpful because they really are adept at transmuting energy. Dogs do transmute energy to an extent, but not nearly as much as cats do. Dogs have a different purpose entirely. They anchor unconditional love onto the planet. They do all kinds of other things, but transmutation is not necessarily their first and foremost primary function. So it makes sense to me from that perspective as to why her dog would end up deciding to come back as a cat. Next, I would like to cover, what do we do in times of waiting between transformations? It's difficult sometimes when you are between two places. You're letting go of the old, you're about to step into the new, but you haven't quite exactly gotten there yet. I'm going to connect into my guides right now and ask the question, what is the best use of our time as humans when we are waiting in that transition period? Firstly, we would say that instead of indicating that you are waiting for something, it is not necessarily that you are standing still. You are not waiting, doing nothing while you're transitioning from one energy to the next. There is a constant motion. It may just be slower than you are perceiving in your reality. There are things that are beneficial for you to do when you have those slow down periods. Assess where you've been, identify where you want to be, get the rest that you need, have fun. Don't worry about what is coming in the future. Now, sometimes those waiting periods, as you call them, or those rest periods in between two things can last quite a long while. And therefore you might get bored, or you might get restless, or you might start to worry that this new transition isn't going to arrive. The advice that we can give you at this point is to help you understand that you can do whatever you want with that energy. You can use it to propel you forward into a new hobby. You can use it to propel you forward into new education, to diving deeper into who you are as a soul. You can do whatever you want with that energy. And how that energy is showing up is going to tell you where you are. If you're restless, that might indicate that you are ready to go, that you are ready to just move forward. But you have to be careful not to force things. As the deer showed up in Marissa's reading, that is a gentle transition. If you try to force things, it may not be the right time. Things might not go the way that you want them to go. Things might be more discouraging and then would cause you to delay even further. So make sure that you are going with the flow of your life. Knowing that that energy is percolating on the other side, it's so palpable, you can feel it, and you want to just take off now and do it. That just gives you an indication of how close that energy is to you for that transformation. It can give you that indicator that that period of rest or that waiting period is almost over. You just have to wait just a tiny bit longer until everything falls into place. So we would prefer that you look at that restlessness with excitement that it's almost here, and that transition period is on its way and is going to go as smooth as it possibly can. If you are feeling bored in this space, that could be an indication that maybe you do need to go and learn some new things, get some new hobbies, meet some new people, infuse some new energy into your life. So it creates a beautiful, colorful tapestry of experiences as you are going through this transition period. So it is up to you. That transition can be entirely black and white, and it can be a period of rest, or it can be a multitude of colors and experiences, while understanding that the idea is not to keep busy. The idea is to use the time in a way that is beneficial for you. All of you do this all of the time. When Mercury goes into retrograde, you know it's time to start cleaning out your closets and cleaning out that energy that doesn't serve you anymore, that energy that is in the back of your energetic closet, bringing that to the forefront to clear. You use the energies astrologically to their benefit to be able to use that momentum. It is no different here. When you're in that transition space, make sure that you are connecting to how you feel in that transition space. Are you excited? Are you moved? Are you happy? Are you scared? Are you anxious? Are you afraid to let go? Those emotions can give a very good picture of what needs to happen or what needs to be done during this time. So let's say you are anxious and scared. Maybe that means that you need to work on letting go of the past, letting go of old ideas or belief systems. So going through transitions are never easy when you are holding on tight to something that was. You need to allow what is going to come to blossom in front of you. And if you were to see that beautiful blossoming, you would not hold on to what was. You would be in such awe of the beauty of what is coming that you would let go of that past, or you would let go of that old energy with absolute ease in the awe of the new energy. The problem is because you're not seeing the new energy yet, you're still holding on. So we would like you to imagine something big and beautiful and bright that is so awe-inspiring that you just have to drop everything. You have to drop everything in order to step into the new. That is how you step gracefully, peacefully, and happily into new energy. Okay, thank you. That was lovely. Thank you. Okay, so last but not least, I want to talk about why our guides wouldn't give us certain information, and big information like our soul and life purpose. So in the session, it was a very clear answer as to why Marissa was not able to get her soul and life purpose prior to the time that they gave it to her. And it had to do with the fact that her stepfather was going to be crossing over. And had she known her soul purpose, she may have responded differently. She may have acted differently. She may have taken on too much, as opposed to just focusing on the passing of her stepfather. So that can often happen with particular soul purposes or life purposes if you are not meant to know. But that goes for pretty much all information that we get in the records. If the angels are not convinced that the information will help you, and in fact, maybe that it will hinder you in some way, they will hold back and they will not tell me certain information, or they will tell me to tell the client that it's not the right time to know that information. And we do have to respect that. And even then, they're not going to give me the information anyway, so we can ask all we want. They just won't give me the info. There are times when this does happen. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. So what I would recommend to you is, if this does happen to you at any given time with any reader, any practitioner, it doesn't matter who it is, if your guides are saying no to telling you any sort of information, just know that it is in your highest good not to know that information. So maybe if you were to know a bit of information now as it pertains to the future, let's say, and it would color or change the way that you're going to react to a certain person. But if you were to wait 4 or 5 days, the information would change, and then you would not actually respond in that way. That would be another reason not to give you the information, because sometimes energy changes so quickly that if you get a little snapshot of it now, it may not be in your highest good to be able to have that information, because later on down the road, there will be better information. There will be a higher timeline. There will be a better situation for you to connect to. And they want you to be able to let that old situation go, or that old energy go. So I wouldn't look at this as a hindrance or as an insult that the angels don't deem you worthy to have this information. It's not about that. It really is just about the right timing, the right space, the right energy. The other reason why they might not give me things like soul origin are because maybe you're not ready to hear the information. I know there have been many times in my journey where I have not gotten information until much later. And I was glad that I didn't get the information until then, because had I gotten it earlier, I probably would not have believed it. It was almost too out there. It was almost too spectacular or too galactic even that I was like, yeah, no, I don't think that really exists, or I don't believe that, or any of those doubts that I may have had, until I finally did start to expand my consciousness to the point where I can understand and know that virtually anything is possible. Virtually anything can exist. Even if it doesn't exist in my own reality or experience, it can exist elsewhere. So having that openness to accept that anything is possible can allow you to be more open to receiving the information that you may receive in an Akashic Records session. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to connect with you next week.
If you're enjoying this podcast, it would be really amazing if you could like, share, and subscribe. Wherever you listen to podcasts, whether it's Apple or Spotify, Feel free to give it a review if you feel called. If you are following me on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you are notified for every single new episode of the Akashic Recordings. If you feel called to book a session with me, you can always reach me at infinitesoullove.com, and you can book directly on my website. Thank you so much for all of your support, and I can't wait to connect with you next week.